Creativity in progress. In progress.
Last time on CiP.
MC Escher and Neckbeards.
That ear looks a little pointed. Am I right?
That's a hand.
Oh, it's a hand. Okay.
This is yours.
I'm guessing she's alive.
This week we are joined by Stan Thomas, co-founder of Nerds with Melanin. Just search for Nerds with Melanin on Facebook.
Yeah, and as you were telling that story, in my ear, there was my voice going, this week we are joined by Stan from Nerds with Melanin, and I was like, shit, forgot to turn that off. So those of you who just heard that, Stan unfortunately could not join us this week because he does other things other than creativity in progress. Oops.
Fantastic.
Yes.
But yeah, I did that on purpose. Actually, I should say I did that by accident. I did the cuts where, I did that because I was trying to cut a couple where you were like, is that an ear? It's like, because I was trying to go with the thing of having just a run of you trying to figure out just like, is that a nose? Is that a navel? What's happening? I was trying to find that stuff. And it just so happened that the ones I cut together and I just placed them together that I was like, oh, I'm leaving it like this.
Happy accidents. We don't have many happy. We have tons of accidents here at CIP. Happy accidents, boy, those are few and very, very
far between. Oh God.
Speaking of accidents, I like how old boy here on the left has an eye patch. 9 times out of 10, a person with an eye patch had an accident.
Well, you could say that.
Is that what I should say? Is that how you know the story of why that guy has an eye patch?
Actually, well, no, but also yes, but also it's very complicated. Okay, so there's no official reason why he has the eye patch, but there's a fan theory is that he dug it out himself.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
But could you repeat that slower and again for all the mothers with their small children listening?
Yes.
So he's not well. This man is not very well.
For one thing, his depth perception is barely compromised, but then also apparently he's not the most sane cat. Mm-hmm. So he just out of curiosity, he dug his own eye out. There's no reason.
So I don't want to spoil it really because it's a big story beat. But yeah.
Okay. So fair enough. So spoilers for Fire Emblem. Which one is this? Art? You said
Three Houses.
Okay, that's official.
3 Houses.
So okay. So spoiler alert for Fire Emblem 3 Houses. There's a psycho that digs his own eye out in there, and there's also a guy that looks like Timothy Chalamet in about 2 years.
Oh wow.
There's a 3 years, and there's a woman that looks like Kate Blanchett, maybe next year. And
it's very interesting that you're saying all this because they're fully just anime characters in the game.
I would argue that Timothy Chalamet is an anime character in real life, so that's nothing too much of a leap. Have you seen that trailer for the Dune 2021? I guess
I have not yet seen the trailer for Dune.
I haven't seen it.
I'm a little I don't know, disappointed with the visuals of the new Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Based off the I guess the production, the still image you've seen, the pictures you've seen. That's your basic, right? Okay.
Yeah. But I shouldn't because that's stupid. I shouldn't judge something having not seen it yet. So I should watch the trailer.
I think you'd like the trailer. Because it's Denis Villeneuve. I know you know that director.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely he's a guy that, for those who don't know, he's the guy that did Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, movies that Ari definitely likes. So that's why I think you would like the trailer if it's seen through his lens, literally. I think you'd like how it all comes together. Maybe not. Right. That's fine. Dune is not to go down the road of Ethan's horrible relationships, but there was a woman I dated a few years back, and when I first started dating, one of the first things that came up, because I always love the question I always love to ask. Nate, you guys know this. Nate and Ari, you guys know this. I love to ask somebody what's their favorite movie. And in our first conversation, she mentioned her favorite movie was Dune. And I was like, oh no, that can't be good. But I still dated her for a while.
What do you mean that can't be good? It's a good movie.
Dune is not a good movie. It is.
Oh, shots fired.
Yes, shots fired. Dune is not a good movie. Here's how bad the movie was. While we were trying to do our thing, so she put the movie on because it's her favorite movie. She loves watching that movie. So she put that movie on, and she was like, "Okay, I'll put this movie on, and then we can have some fun and do our hanky panky, whatever."
Oh,
the movie was so
weird.
bad. I was like, I can't even get to second base while this movie's on in the background. That's how bad the movie is.
Yeah, I'm not really into. Don't. Why? Listen.
Why?
Don't put your favorite movie on when you're about to have sex.
Yeah, you can just talk.
That's weird.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, put on some sexy music, but
Sure.
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna slap on Lord of the Rings when I want to fuck someone.
I wouldn't mind that. That'd be fun. It makes you feel like your orgasm is literally like you're in Rivendell and it's all magical and.
I was gonna say,
fun.
wouldn't you
say that
want
shit
that
to me
epic
again,
music?
I'll come over there.
I was gonna say. Well, I was gonna say that epic music, it's like if you just time it right, but the problem is the timing of that is just,
If you want epic music, just put on the soundtrack. It's that easy.
Done.
And the problem is that like it ended up being around like the Hobbit time where it's like and you're just like,
I know, right?
fuck.
all the metaphors there as far as you little hobbit, you're small and cute and there he is, he's very tiny. Yeah, that's not a good thing. But
All right, well, that's fine. Cute tiny is fine. But
we're not here to judge. We're not no king shame or size shame. We're not here to do that.
Well, like I could totally see because this may have happened with a certain movie called Man of Steel, where it got put on and then things led to another, and so now every time I see that movie, I'm like, it's Man of Steel.
Now that I think about it, your son was born 9 months after the movie came out. That's right.
It's the association.
Yeah,
don't do that to yourself.
Well, but the funny thing is that it was like it wasn't like my favorite movie. It was just like we put it on and then we got it on. But it wasn't that.
You're missing the gaping metaphor, the symbolism, Man of Steel, and you are. It's literally the name of a porn by itself, regardless of Henry Cavill with his shirt off.
I was doing a lot of risk there because basically I'm putting Henry Cavill looking grisly and sexy for that first half of that film, and there's me, hi,
Hey, listen, role play is fine. Role play is good and healthy.
Role play is fantastic. Capes, as we've established before, capes.
No capes.
No cape shame.
Can't get caught in things. It can get caught in things. But,
true. I shouldn't cape shame. Don't wear capes when you're near a plane turbine, though.
Fair. Yeah. Also, don't have sex near an open plane turbine either. Probably that's
probably.
Probably.
Yeah. That seems like a bad idea.
It does seem like a bad idea.
Speaking
of bad ideas, how we got onto this conversation, we're here.
I can't even remember, but it's not like I would put on. It's like I'm not gonna put Groundhog Day on and be like, oh, let's put this on and then have some fun. It's just that's not big. Especially because like the chat said, it's just you put on a movie that you're interested in and you're just like you're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's nice, honey. Come on, I'm into this. It's like it doesn't make sense anyway.
No,
and personally, it's like I can't. If there's going to be a movie on, then I got to watch the movie. You are not going to distract me with your sexy times. We are going to sit here and watch this movie.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. So note to self: put on boring movies when I'm trying to score somebody. Okay. I make sure I do that.
No, don't put on any movies.
Yeah. Don't put on movies.
The idea too, Ari, isn't necessarily that we're like.
Okay, unless they're porn. In that
unless they're
case.
porn.
But if it's too good, it may be distracting also. As far
This
as,
is,
like,
this
I
is
need
just
to
my
take
personal
notes and-
opinion. Like, if you guys
Yes.
want to watch a movie, more power to you. Enjoy.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Well,
Yes.
so here's how it usually unfolds. I don't deliberately put on the movie as far as like, okay, I'm putting this on, and then I'm going to just have it there to distract her while I make my moves. It's like we're sitting down to have an evening, and while we're watching the movie, one thing leads to another. We have some bubbly, eat some popcorn, yada yada yada. It's not so
Okay.
much like I'm putting on Prince, Purple Rain deliberately to go for.
You put on
Great
Purple
slam.
Rain.
I mean, who wouldn't? There's Lord of the Rings music, and then there's Purple Rain. As far
Of
as
all
getting
the
in the
Prince
mood.
songs, of all the Prince songs you could pick, Purple Rain.
It's more of the album, but yeah, whatever.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the actual.
Sorry, I'm being very judgmental.
Yeah. Our one motto on the show is no king shame. You king shame me a lot, like from the jump.
I gotta say,
I support you. I support you in your choices.
Sure you do. Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
I gotta say, I was having a shitty Monday until this conversation. This conversation
Oh,
was like,
good.
it's just like-
Until
I
Ari and
love
I bicker like old
yes,
married
about,
and enemies.
Yeah,
about
right.
about pre-gaming for for sexy time.
Pre-gaming 60 times.
Free game for sexy time. But I think I do. I mean, I do tip my hat to you, Nate. I mean, you literally said, "I want to, I want to have a child in the most ironic way possible by having by constipating with the name Man of Steel playing in the background. That's the actual idea of flying off and all kinds of. That's well done. That's the best.
Well, I love how I tell the story and you add that it was the night my son was conceived.
As if
Meanwhile-
you know for sure.
Yeah.
I was there. I watched. No King Show.
Damn, that
Okay.
is kinky.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to feel about this, frightened or aroused, or both. But it's fun watching the watch numbers go like way up and then way down and then way up and then way down.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right,
But-
because there are parents. As our parents come in the chat room for a second and then they leave once they.
No, thank you.
Let's say what we're talking about. Immediately leave. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, ooh. But yeah,
And
well, yeah.
I'd be
it's-
remiss. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that most of the conversation while that was happening, Ari was fondling our Kate Blanchett's breast, making them look as best as possible. I said remiss, not upset. Not upset. I continue. Please work hardy. Work hardy.
I'm just not gonna
yeah.
dignify that with a response.
Mick liked that joke. But the funny thing is, I'm bringing this up lightly, so if we want to completely turn around and drive out of here, that's totally fine. But I saw on apparently there's that subreddit Ask Reddit, and somebody asked last week, like, you porn artists, do you how do you guys do what you do and not have to and it was a very interesting read, because a lot of them were like, they're like, it's hard to get aroused when you're like really in on the testicles trying to get everything right,
As someone who has drawn a dick or two, it's more of a technical.
Jeez.
It's like
Jesus.
once you have to spend like 8 hours on an illustration, you're like, God, this is so fucking boring and tiring.
Wow. You get desensitized to it. That's fair
That's
enough.
probably why I never finished one. Anyway,
Well,
so
we'll leave it out there. We'll leave it out there. We're not blowing past that. We'll leave it. Let it sit. So
It's
much
like a
said in that
dead
one
fish.
sentence. So much said in
like
that
a
one sentence.
dead fish. Anyway,
Ooh. Oh my God! Wow, Nate, you're no king shame. Merry Christmas.
Damn,
Happy
we are
holidays.
really. This must be a really tough time for all of us because we're just
because our
out of
brains are
control.
way in the gutter. What I will say, this is not to be too crazy, but just I have met a couple of. I told you this before last time, Ari. I have met a couple of porn stars out here, and a person I know he's a director, and I didn't tell you because you get too excited. But well, a person I know out here that he does kind of like smaller films or indie films or micro budget films. He directs those. He also, it stands to reason that they will sometimes direct this porn. That's how it is. Or you work set or crew on a porn. It's just part of the gig, part of the job. And I asked him kind of the same thing that Nate was talking about as far as Ask Reddit on it, and he said something similar as far as like it is when you have 20 people on a set and like like a whole bunch of lights and all these things, a lot of the romance kind of dies. It's more or less like let's get to from shot 1 to shot 2. Are you done? You're
It's
not
like-
done yet? Okay, let's go shot 3. It's not.
It's the end product that you show to your consumers that's supposed to be titillating. I mean, it's different for every person, obviously, but when you're working on something to make it look good or like make it technically proficient or whatever, the romance is kind of gone.
Yeah.
Right. It's sad that as sad as that is, it's it's one of those things.
Yeah, and it makes sense when you think about it. It's just that I think when a lot of people don't think like when you think about porn, you're thinking like, oh God, like I wish I could be a cameraman on that, and then they stop. That's where you stop. That's where you stop thinking, and
Right.
it's when you go that little bit further, going, yeah, no, you're not sitting there going like, oh wow, I'd like to touch those. No, you're thinking, okay, am I zoomed in right? Is the focus right? Do I have all this stuff? Like that's what you're thinking about,
Yeah, because when you're a cameraman, you have a job to do.
Mhm.
Also, when you're a performer, which is very difficult.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, obviously, when you're watching, you're like, when you're watching, you basically you're already you're watching
Yes.
already. You're doing your job as a consumer.
Yeah.
But it's different when you're actually making something.
And that's kind of we're getting into voyeurism as well too. There's a difference between trying to build arousal as opposed to simply enjoying it. We're also it's the same idea as any kind of art that you're trying to partake in. If you're making a film, a movie for kids, or anything that actually has moving parts, there's a vast difference as far as the enjoyment that goes into making it as opposed to just simply experiencing it. But also you want the suspension of disbelief. You said performers, porn stars are performers. Those scenes they're doing, they're performing. They don't always necessarily like each other that much. They don't always feel the way that they're screaming. That's a performance. It's an act. Same as Tom Cruise running really fast to get away from a bomb exploding. There really isn't a bomb in real life that's going to kill him, but he's portraying that idea. And the suspension of disbelief is what makes it much more engaging. If we saw watching Mission Impossible 6, all the the boom operator behind the scenes, and we saw craft services eating donuts and stuff, it would completely destroy any. I know I want them to. It would destroy any and all illusions. So part of it is you have to be able to separate yourself from it. We know that porn isn't real. We know that these movies aren't real, but being able to get lost in it is what makes them fun and enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because ideally, that's what you want to do. You want your audience to have fun, for lack of a better.
Yeah.
Whatever that fun may.
No king shame. No king shame. Whatever that fun may be.
I also must commend you, Ethan, for walking that tightrope of talking about porn and action stars, and then you even threw in kids movies in there, and I was like, "Wow, he's walking a tightrope right there."
As I said it, I realized it's like, will Nate bring it up or will Ari bring it up? I wasn't sure which one would do it first, and it was Nate, so I lost $5. Okay, I lost $5.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's a tightrope," but you made it.
We could have just gone right by it. Could have gone right past it. The same.
Nope.
Nope. And Nate said,
I'm the guy in the car going,
drop anchor. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
Yes.
Not to smash it too hard, but I was asked in a gaming group chat with a bunch of folks that we know from Nerds with Melanin and some other folks, and they did ask the question how we met. So in case any of them are watching or curious, the three of us can address how we met briefly here in our little round table, little discussion type of thing. And Nate, correct me if I'm wrong. My memory is that we met in 2013 at the Bent Theater. We were like the first day. It was in January 2013. Yeah. We were going there for improv class to be part of this improv troupe, and the class originally had like I think 10 people, and by the end of the 10 weeks or so, I think it was 10 weeks. By the end of the 10 weeks, there's only a few of us left.
Yeah.
And Nate and I were two of the prime candidates that were left. And because we were only two of the only ones that were left, we actually became scene partners pretty frequently. And one of the scenes we did, it was actually on the news. Actually, a news crew that came out there for us. And
that's how
that
bad
was
we
one
were.
of our. That's how bad we were. They pretty much like, don't waste your money or time on this activity. But the scene we did that went actually on the news was where we were circus performers in a Russian circus. I can't remember how that suggestion came up. We were circus performers in a Russian circus or something like that. And the idea was we also didn't like each other, so we were trying to kill each other with our performance. So we're like juggling knives and throwing knives at each other. Remember that, Nate?
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Oh geez, because I always remembered the Sergey and Vlad. That
Sergey
was
and
the
Vlad. Yeah, those are our names we went with in that scene. Yeah.
But yeah, that was
yeah.
I
Because there was a part where we were both like standing there like come at me kind of thing, but we were saying it with horrible, offensive Russian accents, and so you threw a invisible knife at me, and I caught it. I caught the invisible knife in my hands. I remember that, and that's why I still. So, anyone curious, my nickname for Nate is Sergey or Serg, and that's why because he tried to kill me with a knife.
Yes, the deadly improv knives.
Improv knives.
Well, I remember I remember very specifically it was January 21st on 2013. A cold winter night. But no, really I have no idea of the date, but I do remember we went to the class and everything, and after the class was over, you came over to me and you were like, "You're Nate, right?" And I was like, "Do I owe you money?" And then we sat and chatted, and it was comic books because you were like, you like comic books. I think you had probably talked to Andy, and Andy was like, you go talk to that guy. He likes comics. And then we had the throughout the class. I remember. I'm sure you remember this. There was a very nice little old lady who came, and we started the first class, and we're doing the class, and we're doing the improv games, and about halfway through, she's like, "I'm gonna go. This isn't what I thought," and we were like, "Oh, you sure? Are you okay?" And it was very weird, it was just like, okay. It's like, apparently she thought it was a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's very inevitable. It's like clearly she was in the wrong.
Yeah, like you could tell just by the way she was very uncomfortable coming in. So, but more power to her. I hope she's doing well. But I remember we did the whole thing. Yeah, there ended up being like 4 of us left after like a whole bunch of people left. Yeah. But I remember we're doing a bit. It was you and me in our show. This was our first official, coming out, event where graduation show. And we were paired for a bit, and it was one of those games where we would sit there and we had to act out a scene in different genre or different styles, different
Oh yeah, like movie. Yeah. I think it's movie like genres or something like that, right?
Movie genres or something. Yeah. And but I just remember, and he got suggestions from the audience. Well, some smart aleck asshole on the back says racism as one of the things. And it was, but I gotta say, I gotta give Andy credit because we're going through it and we're going through the bits and he's calling out the different things and we're doing a pretty good job. And then Andy goes, racism, and we both go, huh? And then he just calls it. And then he immediately calls out the next one, and you're like, "Oh, thank Christ!"
Because I think at the moment too, you and I were like almost like touching or engaged, pretty much, and we just stopped. Just stopped for like a whole 5 seconds.
Solid. You can hear a pin drop.
Drop. The entire audience was like gasping too. Right? Yeah. There's always that one guy.
And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, there's no way. I'm just gonna stand here solid. I am a statue. I am a statue.
Because I think what happened too was, ironically enough, because neither of us wanted to speak or say anything to each other, and we were already moving and engaging with each other. I think when you said racism, you and I just both looked at each other kind of angrily, and that was enough to like. Okay, don't say anything out loud. You can be angry at each other visually, but don't go there.
He saw anger. It was fear. but I am curious. So I think I briefly heard the story of how you and Ari met, but I can't fill me in again. I can't remember what that was. Either one of you.
Well, okay, so in my, there was like a little mini con, and Ethan and his editor at the time, our friend Susan, excuse me, I'm gonna take a sip of my tea.
You burned it. Don't spill it. Don't
Thank
spill
you.
it.
Shit, fuck. What did you do that for? No, I'm just they'd come to like to showcase the comic they were working on at this little con, and I was like, nerds in my small town, it's more likely than you think. And so I went to the little con and sat in on their panel, which was like how to write comics. I was like, I don't want to write comics. So I had questions, and I asked my questions, and they were listening. And then after the panel, I went up, and we started talking. And
she's extremely friendly. The best, panel, quote unquote, was being generous. It was a
panel.
It was a panel. It was technically a panel, but we were in the basement of this facility, the library, this big library that we're at. But and it had a whole bunch of chairs, and like only a portion of the chairs were actually filled. But Ari was there first. She had a giant smile on her face the entire time. She's all excited, and she asked the most questions anyone else there. And then as soon as it was over, she just ran up to us and asked a bunch more questions and stuff. And she also showed us on your phone, I guess it was, some of your portfolio, what you had done. And my first thought was, and when I was talking to Susan, I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's cute. And then she goes, and then Susan said, I think she's an artist. I said, sure she is. And so, of course, when she came up, I was like, oh, brother, I think she wants to show us something. I was basically like rolling my eyes because I was like, it's probably some garbage images. And of course, they were stunning images. And I was like, holy shit. And so it pretty much, it was just like, well, that shut me up. And so I was so impressed. I was like, please, would you come do something with me? That sounds dirty. What I meant was like, as far as like, what I meant as far as like draw something for us or do a cover or whatever, do something for us. And so we all three of us, like, because Susan was there, so all three of us like clicked right away, just in that little weird, awkward intro from me. But it was very fun. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
The chat has a question. Denzel's asking, how long have you been doing digital art? I'm going to throw in a thing on that. How long have you been doing art at total? So like digital and that's not a number.
So much. Years. Well, I don't remember a time when I wasn't drawing. So I've been doing art all my life, but digital art, oh God, how old am I?
You don't have to remember that part. You have to remember that part.
Oh, math.
Yeah, so I started when I was like 11. When MacBooks were still, they had those sick see-through.
Oh yeah.
Shit, and my dad was like, "Hey, you want to try out Illustrator?" And I was like, "Sure, let's do that." I started in Illustrator for some reason, not Photoshop. And I was super into Neopets, so I was like doing a lot of Neopets stuff, Neopets art. And that's where
Neopets like. What are Neopets?
So it's like a Tamagotchi, but it's online.
Oh, those little like digital.
So it's like you take care of pets website. Yeah. I think it's still around. It's been forever. So it's been around like, I don't know, 17 years or so.
So I didn't know that digital drawing even existed for that long. I guess it did. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wacom's have been around for. Were you on a Wacom or were you, or like a?
Actually, I didn't start out on a tablet. I started with a mouse, which
really,
if anyone knows, is the fucking worst. Don't start with a mouse.
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, I remember once in high school, there was some event or something I was a part of, and they needed a drawing for the front, and I decided I was dicking around on my computer that weekend, and I just pulled up it might have been Paint, I think, and I just MS Paint, and I think I just used the mouse, and I made essentially it was just an image of like two hands holding each other, and and it was very kind of in a like a very scratchy style, and it was in that style because I was using a mouse and I wasn't like I wasn't a fantastic artist, but just by sheer chance, it looked like I meant it that way. Like it looked like so when I took
the aesthetic looked deliberate.
Yeah, the aesthetic looked deliberate. So they and if I do say so myself, it looks pretty good. And I just happened to show it to my teacher, and she was like, "I love that," and she put it on the front. And it's the only piece of digital art I've ever done with a mouse, and I will never do it again because it took me forever, and my hand was cramped. It was oh god.
But obviously you climb Mount Everest. Your first trek ever. You climb at Everest. Why ever try to top it? Because your artist, your teacher, loved it so much when to put it in the fridge. Basically,
I peaked. It's 16. I peaked. I'm done.
Hell yeah.
And Denzel has confirmed that Neopets is still around.
Yeah,
updates. So.
Thanks. Thank you, sir.
I moved on. I was like, this was years ago. At this point, I don't know what time is anymore. It's fake. But there's new pet site called Flight Rising, which is basically just dragons instead. And check that out. I have not grown out of my wanting to take care of online fake pets.
Of course not. Why would you? But I'm guessing if they're pet dragons you're taking care of, they're chibi dragons. They're kind of like little baby dragons, essentially.
So from what I remember, they start out as like baby dragons, and they grow in their final form.
Oh, okay. That's like what's it called? Aragorn. Either of you read the book or seen the movie's
Aragon?
Yeah, Aragon. Yeah,
it's terrible. But
the books are
better than the movie.
Yeah, I will admit that much. They are better than the movie.
They're not great. It's written by like a 15-year-old, so they're not great, but they're definitely better than that.
I will say that they're very impressive for having been written by someone so young, but they're also like you can tell exactly what his inspirations were, and it's very, very derivative.
It's very derivative. Yes. But what's cool about that though is the idea that they watching the dragons in the stories and stuff grow. The main one especially. See how a dragon kind of grows with their, because it's obviously kind of like also that's the How to Train Your Dragon, same idea, but in that one it starts off basically with Hiccup and the dragon fully grown, but like a dog and its boy kind of thing.
Yeah, that was How to Train Your Dragon was a bit of a surprise for us because like it was Warden was like, let's go check this out, and I was like okay, and I like, y'all know that I like animated kids movies, so it wasn't that I was against that. It was I was like, I don't know about this is weird, this is a weird name, I don't know. And then I came out of it like, that movie was fucking awesome. I really enjoyed it, which is kind of
I love the idea of you coming out of a kids movie with a whole bunch of small children around you saying that movie was fucking awesome, and their parents had to explain what that word means to them.
Yeah, that probably was. That's happened before, actually.
Yeah, same. I happen to have a bit of a potty mouth. Unfortunately,
really?
as you, I know it's such a shock. I've never mentioned it before, but yeah, I've had people glare at me, and I'm like, oh shit, sorry.
Yeah. Like, oh crap. I remember I was in a play, and there was a kid in the play. Now, I will say he was like 15. Okay. And I was, and we were sitting around just chatting, and I was retelling a Dave Chappelle joke that had to do with,
the semen one.
No, it wasn't the semen joke. It was the it basically had to do with, it was something about voting where like he's like, white people are so weird, they won't talk about who they voted for. It's like he'll be sitting there going, oh geez, I fucked my wife, and I'm over here fucking my wife in the ass. Who'd you vote for? Hey, that's private, and so I'm retelling that joke, and like everybody like freezes when I do the fucking ass part. And they're all like looking at him. He's over in the corner and he's chuckling, he's over looking in the corner. And I look over and I was like, do you know who Dave Chappelle is? He said, yeah. Have you seen the thing that I was just talking about? Yeah. We're fine, guys. It's okay. It's just like, it's like these children know more swear words and probably know more about sexual positions than we do.
Jesus.
I was one of those children. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah. And you turned out fine, I guess. Kind of.
Fine, I guess. Yeah, that about sums me up.
Right. No.
Not as bad as I could be.
No. I honestly think though that all joking aside, you're only going to do more harm than good by trying to deprive people growing up of these concepts or ideas, because they're going to eventually learn about them. And if they learn about them when they're in their 20s or in college and they're, kind of exposed to so much at once, it'll break their brains and souls in half. So
this is why education is very important. Please educate your children, whether it be, through parenting and telling them how to be safe and to expect, or, school programs. It's very important. And I fucking hate how I just, not to get too real, I'm going to chill.
Right. No, the PSA was still, it was still a good PSA. It's still a good PSA. I love it.
Okay.
If we had the little star,
the more you know.
The more you know, we would have done that. Yes, I completely agree with you. But I do have to ask this question to both of you guys. And this is something that Nate will have to worry about in a couple of years. Did you guys ever have the talk with your parents?
No, I was given a book.
Given a book?
Yeah, I was given a book, like with this is what to expect and diagrams and all that shit. How interesting! Oh, picture! So
nice. So
that was
vivid.
Basically,
it was a vivid sex ed book, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And then also the internet. So I was
right.
well prepared at that point in time. It's I don't know how to feel about it, because I was seeing things that I should have been seeing at that age. However, it didn't fuck me up, really. I just sort of took it in stride, but I understand that it's really not something that should be expected of kids of that age. I mean, there should be, it's too much. Like we, at this point in time, we know more about sites and keeping children safe and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, it's okay. Just as long as it's like labeled, really is all I think that it should be. Because, when I was a kid, I was lying about my age and being like, show me the money. But
the money, yes, that's the word for it.
But I knew there was the warning, I knew what I was getting into.
Fair.
I always had a I realized it was a oh god, this was like paper thin logic, but I always had this thing where, like, when I was going on the internet at an age when I really shouldn't have, and I had this rule that if the site had a pop-up or a thing that said this site is only for 18, are you 18, and specifically asked the question. If it just had a thing that said, like if it just had a thing that said, this site is for 18 and over, make sure you're over 18 before checking this site, and that was it, I was like, fuckers. But if they specifically asked the question, then I wouldn't lie, and I would navigate away from the site.
So good.
That's so sweet.
That's charming.
Well, remember, remember, my goal was to see a Cindy Crawford nipple. That's what I was trying to see, and I was willing to wait 20 minutes for that image to load. This was the era of internet I was in.
Dial up,
Yeah, where it would just sit there, and you just see one line at a time, and you would wait, and then it would get close to the chest, and you'd just be like, oh no, there's still more boob. Still more boob. Oh crap!
As long as parents come home the next hour and a half, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing was that sometimes I would click the no just to see what it would do, and like half the time it would send you to Disney.com, which I found hilarious.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
So
I love it.
Yeah, very, very amusing to me that would happen. Yeah, I had with my parents. Don't want to put my dad on blast or anything, but I had a 3-part talk. And I think the first one actually came earlier than intended because for various reasons I happened to see a classmate at school disrobed because I walked in, I wasn't paying attention. I walked into an area that I walked into the girls' bathroom essentially, and I was like, wait,
there's a few things I gotta unpack here first. So you accidentally walked into the girls' bathroom.
Yeah, it was totally accidental. Okay. It wasn't like I was in kindergarten, so it wasn't. I was like, I'm gonna see some boobies. Like no, I just like I was like I was just walking down the hallway and I was like, gotta pee, and went left when I should have went right, kind of thing.
Okay.
And the thing was that I started asking questions. So my dad was like, all right, this is girls got this and boys got this, and so he had to give me that talk. Then a little bit later, then I got the mechanics of the how-to essentially.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the like
you said a little bit later. What age are we talking about here? Like
it was about 3rd grade, so it was about 4 years later. I got I got the mechanics.
So you're about 8 or 9 years old. Is that Is that the right age for that?
I think he was probably just basing it off my what I was saying and what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, generally that is it varies for everybody, but I mean, I honestly, this is just my opinion. I think the earlier the better. Not too. That sounds really bad, but I mean, in an educational sense, so that kids know what to do and what not to do.
I agree.
As well.
Yeah,
I agree. Yes, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nate. You were saying.
Well. Like I got I got the mechanics, and then I got the third one. Now this third one, it was the religious based one.
Oh, fun one. That's the fun.
Yeah,
one.
that was the you should never you shouldn't until you're married. I will give my dad credit.
Don't hold hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I will give him credit though. He, because he was a liberal Christian, and now he's just a liberal. But he was aware of what it was like to be a hormonal sack of meat, and so he basically was like, you're really not supposed to till you're married, but if you do, for Christ's sake, use a condom. So at least he did that.
That's good.
That's the thing though, is that most they preach so much abstinence, or I mean, I can't get into all the politics of the things, but it's like you have to understand that teenagers are crazy. They're gonna go out there and do things. So why not at least try to say if you're going to jump out of a plane, try to have a parachute as opposed to refuse when you're in your planes. If you're going to, just I got you.
It's just so stupid to me. That's it's like no, we have a preventative measure that works of a very large that can be safe for men and women. Yeah. Why are you not using it, you dumbasses?
And obviously, there's the obvious answer, of course, is it doesn't feel as good or whatnot.
Because religion, because abstinence,
or because religion, or because abstinence. I got you, Tyler. But people are going to be doing different kind of things. My story with my dad was I had the 6th ed when I was in 5th grade. I remember I was 10 years old and I didn't know what was going on, but I was curious because I had seen the Akira manga and anime, and there's stuff in there. I'm like, what is going on here?
Damn, that's early.
It was, but it is early for a 10-year-old to see those. For Nate, I'm not sure. I think you've seen Akira, right? Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a hard MA rating, hard R anime, and the manga's got even more stuff. A lot more stuff actually, but so I was like I had no idea what was going on, and then I had that 6th ed, which is very much kind of a chaste 6th ed, and then my dad was like, "All right, let's do this," and so he pretty much got what he thought was a tasteful porn, and just kind of like showed me a few minutes of it, and it was like, "This is this, this is this, this is that. All right, just do your own thing." Literally patted me on the shoulder and left. And it's like, the fuck am I gonna do? So that was. It was literally 5 minutes. It was very I would say a hands-on experience, but it was a very quick here it is. Go at it. Go. Have fun. Do your thing. And he, I mean, he did. Again, I think he
Wow.
eventually said the whole as far as like, make sure you do it safe and you're protected. But he didn't say what that meant. So, so he said safe and protected. I was like, I don't know what that even means. So I need to wear a bulletproof vest, have a taser on me. So that was the introduction. My introduction to all this world.
I think
I'm
the last descriptor you want to use for how your sex education went was hands-on. I really think,
Yeah.
yeah. That describes.
Well,
that,
I will say, now the warden, and I'm just bringing up hers just and I know she wouldn't care, just for the very reason of how it was. She never had a talk because her and her mom had a very open relationship in terms of discussing, body parts and what was going on and everything, to the point where like it's not weird. Like she is the only person I know. Now I'm sure there may be other people and may other be people on this call that when when you say like imagine your parents having sex, most people go, ugh.
Yeah.
No,
I'm done.
Thank you for that illustrator there, Ethan. For the warden, it doesn't bother her. Like it doesn't yeah, she doesn't. It's not an enjoyable thing. She's not going to sit there and think about it like purposefully, but it doesn't gross her out because it's just the way her mom and her had the like discussion. In fact, she talks to her mom about her mom's sex life. I could never do that.
Yeah, that's
not. I was with you up into. I was like,
it's fine. That I get that, and that's
Right,
because that ain't happening with me. So,
no. But again, our one motto, our one and only motto, no king shame. It's out there. It's different, but I'm not going to shame her.
Well, it's not something that you're like. So, mom, how was it this last weekend? It's like she's not like that.
God. Oh my God, that is. But it's funny. It's something that Ari brought up earlier too. I think we talked about this before, Nate, as well. The idea that it's so in other countries they're kind of ahead of the curve as far as seeing that sexuality and sex isn't evil by any means. It's actually very much more like celebrated in some countries, obviously. It's more celebrated, and they even have it like, for the rating system. The rating system is they grade much harder on language and like violence as opposed to sex. We go hard, we go ham on sex and don't really give a shit about violence and language that nearly as much.
Feels pretty backwards to me.
It does feel backwards.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me because every one of us has been here because our parents bumped uglies.
Yeah. You don't have to keep bringing that up, Nate, but yeah, you're right.
Well, I need to. We all exist because sex happened. Why is sex so? Sorry, this is a soapbox issue. I'm gonna go crawl.
Well, it has to do with obviously how America came to, Puritan values and Christianity, fucking dumb shit like that, and it's sad because almost everybody, obviously there are asexual people do not feel sexual attraction, but almost everybody has sex or would like to or feels sexual feelings, and it's like
it's the majority.
Don't stigmatize it. We need education.
Yes, and then also stigmatizing it only does more harm.
Exactly.
And also one thing too that. So there was a show, I'm not sure if you guys ever watched it, but Naked and is it Naked and Naked and Alive, whatever it is. People are trying to survive on an island while they're naked. It's one of those like TLC shows, and they of course like edited out the bits and pieces while they're on the show. But the idea is that they're trying to survive on this island naked. And I was talking to James, and I was like, it's kind of weird that they have this on this TLC channel because I know a family could come across it. And James convinced me, he's like, you realize it actually makes more sense because of course it lead to more conversations because we're all more likely to engage in something sexual than we are to engage in a gun shootout or a bloody sword fight. Things that it's this should be much more commonplace. And I mean, not obviously go down to the woods naked, but sexuality is much more commonplace. It should be commonplace as opposed to
naked and afraid.
Violence. Naked and afraid.
Thank the chat for that. Well, I think, and another thing, and this was something that, and I'm sorry if did I interrupt you? I apologize.
Oh no.
Okay.
Just making various noises of affirmation.
well, that was one thing, and I do have to credit the warden for this. And this is something that, and I can't really blame any. It was all my mom's fault. Like I can't do that because it's like it's just America's weird. But something that it took me a long time to realize, and it was a lot later in my life before I was able to start pulling apart the idea of nudity and sex. They're not the same thing.
Yeah.
And but because of pop culture and because of how we view nudity and how we stigmatize sex, it has merged in society. So there is this belief that, female nipples are bad, but yet male nipples can be on, daytime television. Like that makes no sense because a naked woman isn't a sexual thing. Like it's just a naked woman.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, and that was something that, and I'll fully admit it wasn't until after I had met my wife before before she was like, you do realize it. And I started thinking about it and I was like, yeah, like that is kind of true,
Yes.
So,
yeah. Well, all right. I think you were going to say something. Nate and I keep on talking over you. So I'll let you.
Oh, no, it's fine. Basically, I agree. Obviously, it's so stupid. I'm not gonna get into a rant here.
Don't get too revved up into this.
Please go ahead, Ethan.
Fair. And I obviously I won't get too deep into the politics or things, but it's just the idea that it's almost in a negative way, essentially, especially with women's bodies. They've been so hyper-sexualized that there's so much damage all around because of that, to the point where there is no practical reason for a woman to have a body other than to be objectified in some capacity. And there's no reason for a guy to even acknowledge a woman's body unless it's for a sexual purpose. And it's kind of like, this is crazy. Because the thing is, what I realized too, as I started getting more into art and in college, as I took more and more art classes and everything like that, and I realized just how much the single most vulnerable thing in the world is anyone's body being naked. Anyone's, male or female. A nude body is the most vulnerable thing. But the idea of it being spun on its head, that it's meant to be the most, provocative thing, and that's something to be ashamed of at the same time, it's kind of a double whammy. So.
Well, I think everybody obviously is entitled to their own levels of being comfortable while naked or uncomfortable while naked. It's just so women's bodies have been sort of overwhelmingly used as sexual objects for men's pleasure, whether through marketing or history, blah blah blah, and that's negatively impacted all of society because it's damaged obviously both women, but it's also damaged men in how they view women, which super sucks. And it's just very frustrating because I just want everybody to be happy and live in peace and harmony, and everybody to view each other as instead of just objects. I can't. It's a huge topic, and I'm not doing it any justice. But
you're doing great. But you're doing great. But you're right. It is a huge topic, and this is obviously much. I am not smart enough to say too much on the issue.
Well, I was going to say I like how this conversation started with putting Dune on and getting sexy time, and then and then we ended on freaking
extremely heavy topics.
Heavy
sexism.
Yeah, this is deep, man, deep.
This is deep. But that does bring us back to Dune, because Dune, that trailer for Dune is deep. It's balls deep. Yes. It's great. I love it. I'm gonna show it to both of you guys once we get off here. But at the same time, talking about something being, like your parents having sex turning you off, watching that original David Lynch Dune, just as ineffective.
Yes.
I will not tolerate.
You would not tolerate me comparing parents having sex to David Lynch's Dune? It's happened. Gauntlet Throne, woman. Gauntlet Throne.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe
jeez. That's going to be the title of today's episode: is Dune good or not?
I thought you were going to say the title episode was
Dune
is
good?
already
Question
saying
mark, question
meet me
mark,
in the
question
pit, but
Meet me in the pit. Merry
me in the
fucking
Starlight Pit.
Christmas.
Listen.
Okay. I'm gonna shut up because I
Alright.
almost said something that I shouldn't have said. Anyway, and I'm gonna let all the listeners try to figure out what that is, because that could have
That's
gone
a
bad
17
decision.
different thousand directions.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes, we'll
Oh,
let
boy.
that go.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up today. For those of you who wonder what the hell was going on,
So are we. So are we.
signed on to see a writer's room, and you see just the people talking about sex ed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just decided to have a palate cleanser, relaxed a little bit today, and then get ready for next week, because next week we're going to we have another guest, which will be a surprise because I can't remember who it is, and then we're going to do and we're going to have another writer's room,
That's
and we're going to have a
fine.
good old time. So anybody have anything to say before I wrap this puppy up?
No. Thank you for obviously the deep conversation and or not so deep conversation.
It's a full range. I would just like to say, if you get a chance, like, subscribe, and share. We know we have some people. We have some new viewers and new listeners, which is great. If you see this
Yes.
on YouTube, or if you listen to this on your podcatcher of any kind, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends and family. Ari's work is amazing. You can mute us.
Yes.
You can mute us so you don't have to hear Nathan and I. You get it. That's fine. Just don't listen to what Ari's doing. We would not be offended. We do the same thing ourselves when we watch the replays. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again, everybody, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.